When I first met Jessica, it felt like something out of a fairy tale. I was in my late 20s, working at a mid-sized tech company in Seattle. Jessica was an artist, full of creativity and life, always surrounded by her sketches and paints. We were introduced at a friend's dinner party, and from the moment our eyes met, there was an undeniable spark. We quickly fell into a whirlwind romance, and within a year we were married. Our daughter Lily was born 2 years later. She was the embodiment of our love, with Jessica's bright blue eyes and my dark hair. From the day she was born, Lily became the center of our universe. Every milestone, her first smile, her first steps, her first words, was a cause for celebration. We were the perfect little family, and life seemed to be on a constant high. We bought a charming house in a quiet neighborhood just outside the city. It was an old Victorian with a garden in the back where Jessica loved to plant flowers and herbs. Weekends were spent enjoying family picnics, playing in the park, or having barbecues with friends and neighbors. Jessica and I took turns cooking, and she was always trying out new recipes that filled our home with mouth-watering aromas. Our evenings were cozy and filled with laughter. We would watch movies together, play board games, or simply talk about our days. Lily loved when Jessica read her bedtime stories, always animated and full of different voices for each character. Sometimes I would sit by the door, listening to their giggles and feeling like the luckiest man in the world. Jessica and I had a strong bond. We communicated openly and supported each other's dreams. She encouraged me to take risks in my career, and I supported her decision to start her own small art studio. We celebrated each other's successes and were there for each other during the tough times. I never doubted for a moment that Jessica was my soulmate. One of my favorite memories was the summer trip we took to the Grand Canyon. It was Lily's first big vacation, and she was so excited about everything. We hiked the trails, took countless photos, and even camped under the stars. Jessica painted a beautiful landscape of the canyon, which still hangs in our living room. That trip solidified our bond as a family, and I often reminisced about those moments, believing they were the foundation of our happiness. As the years went by, our lives continued to flourish. Lily started kindergarten, and watching her grow into a curious, kind-hearted child filled me with immense pride. She excelled in her studies, made friends easily, and developed a love for art just like her mother. Our weekends became busier with school projects, playdates, and art classes. Jessica's art studio began to gain recognition. She held exhibitions and started selling her paintings. I was proud of her achievements and loved watching her eyes light up with excitement whenever she talked about her work. Our home was filled with her artwork, each piece telling a story of our life together. We also made time for ourselves as a couple. Date nights were sacred, and we never let the hustle and bustle of life interfere with our time together. We enjoyed going out for dinners, attending concerts, or simply taking long walks by the waterfront. Those moments allowed us to reconnect and keep the spark alive in our marriage. Our friends often commented on how perfect our relationship seemed. We were the couple everyone looked up to, the ones who had it all figured out. I took pride in that, feeling like we had cracked the code to a happy marriage. Our communication was open, our love was strong, and our family was thriving. Jessica was an amazing mother. She was patient, loving, and always found creative ways to engage with Lily. They spent hours together, painting, drawing, and creating beautiful crafts. Their bond was heartwarming, and I loved watching them share those special moments. It reassured me that we were building a solid foundation for Lily's future. However, as with any marriage, we had our challenges. Balancing work, parenting, and personal time wasn't always easy. There were days when we were exhausted and overwhelmed, but we always found a way to support each other. Whenever one of us felt down, the other would step in with a comforting word or a loving gesture. It was a partnership built on mutual respect and deep affection. We celebrated our 10th wedding anniversary with a trip to Hawaii. It was a dream vacation, just the two of us, leaving Lily with her grandparents for a week. We explored the islands, relaxed on the beaches, and enjoyed the tranquility of being together without any distractions. It was a reminder of why we fell in love in the first place, and reinforced our commitment to each other. As we stood on the beach, Watching the sunset on our last night in Hawaii, I held Jessica close and whispered, "I love you more than anything in this world." She smiled and kissed me, and in that moment, I believed with all my heart that we would always be together, facing whatever life threw at us. But life, as it often does, had other plans. And the perfect picture I had in my mind was about to be shattered in ways I never imagined. It started subtly, little things that I could have easily brushed off if they hadn't started to pile up. Jessica became increasingly irritable, snapping at me and Lily over minor issues. At first I thought it was just the stress of her growing art business. Managing an art studio, especially with the level of success Jessica was achieving, was no small feat. But her frustration seemed to bleed into every aspect of our lives. One evening, as we sat down for dinner, Lily accidentally spilled her milk. Jessica, who was normally so patient, exploded. "Can't you be more careful?" she yelled, startling both Lily and me. Lily's eyes welled up with tears and she mumbled an apology. I quickly grabbed a towel and cleaned up the mess, trying to calm the situation. "It's okay, Lily. Accidents happen," I said softly, glaring at Jessica in confusion. Jessica didn't apologize. Instead, she excused herself from the table and went to her studio, leaving Lily and me to finish dinner in an uncomfortable silence. These outbursts became more frequent. Jessica's patience, once a hallmark of her personality, seemed to have vanished. She started spending more time in her studio, often working late into the night. When I asked her about it, she brushed me off, saying she had deadlines to meet and needed the time to focus. I tried to be supportive, giving her the space she needed, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Lily, always sensitive to the moods of those around her, began to withdraw. She spent more time in her room, drawing and reading, and less time with Jessica and me. I made extra efforts to spend time with her, taking her to the park or helping her with her school projects, but I could see the hurt in her eyes. She missed the closeness she once shared with her mother. One evening, as I was tucking Lily into bed, she looked up at me with a worried expression. "Daddy, why is Mommy always so angry?" she asked, her voice trembling. My heart broke at her question. "I don't know, sweetheart," I replied, stroking her hair gently. "Mommy has a lot on her mind with her work, but she loves you very much. Never forget that." Lily nodded, but I could see she wasn't convinced. And truth be told, neither was I. I decided to talk to Jessica about it, hoping we could find a way to address whatever was troubling her. One night, after Lily was asleep, I approached Jessica in her studio. She was hunched over her work, her face illuminated by the soft glow of her desk lamp. "Jessica, we need to talk," I said, taking a seat across from her. She didn't look up from her work. "What is it, Daniel?" she asked, her tone clipped and impatient. "I'm worried about you. You've been so stressed and distant lately. And Lily is feeling it too. She asked me why you're always so angry." That got her attention. She looked up, her expression softening for a moment before hardening again. "I'm just under a lot of pressure, Dan. The studio is demanding more of my time and energy than I anticipated. I'm doing my best." "I understand that," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "But we need to find a balance. Lily needs you. I need you. We can't keep going on like this." She sighed, rubbing her temples. I know. I'm sorry. I'll try to do better. But I can't just drop everything at the studio. This is important to me too." "I'm not asking you to drop everything, just let's find a way to manage this together. We're a team, remember?" She nodded, but I could tell her mind was elsewhere. I wanted to believe things would improve, that Jessica would find a way to balance her work and our family. But the unease in my gut persisted, and I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to her behavior than just work stress. Weeks passed, and while there were brief moments of normalcy, the tension in our home remained. Jessica continued to work late, often coming to bed long after I had fallen asleep. I tried to be understanding, but my patience was wearing thin. I missed the closeness we once shared, the laughter and warmth that had defined our relationship. Then came the night that changed everything. It was a Saturday, and we had planned to go out for dinner to celebrate Lily's 7th birthday. I had made reservations at a nice restaurant, inviting a few close friends and family. It was supposed to be a special evening, a chance to focus on Lily and create some happy memories amidst the tension. Jessica had gone out earlier in the day, saying she needed to pick up a few things for the celebration. She promised to be back in time to get ready and join us. But as the hours ticked by, I started to worry. I called her several times, but she didn't answer. Lily was dressed in her favorite dress, excited about the dinner, but I could see the disappointment creeping in as time passed. Finally, just as we were about to leave for the restaurant, Jessica called. "I'm on my way," she said hurriedly. "I got held up, but I'll meet you there." Relieved, I gathered Lily and headed to the restaurant, hoping Jessica would arrive soon. We were seated, and I tried to keep the mood light, chatting with our guests and keeping Lily entertained. But as the minutes turned into an hour, my concern grew. Where was Jessica? It wasn't until much later that night, after the dinner had ended and we had returned home, that I learned the truth, and it shattered the illusion of our perfect family forever. The evening of Lily's birthday dinner was supposed to be special. As we waited at the restaurant, Lily's excitement started to wane. Our friends and family tried to keep her spirits up, but it was clear she was disappointed that her mother wasn't there yet. I checked my phone repeatedly, hoping for an update from Jessica, but there was nothing. After waiting for over an hour, I decided to start the dinner without her. We ordered Lily's favorite dishes, and I tried to put on a brave face, engaging in conversations and making sure Lily felt celebrated. Still, my mind kept drifting to Jessica and why she hadn't shown up. Finally, as dessert was being served, my phone buzzed. It was Jessica, but instead of calling, she sent a text. "I'm so sorry, Dan, I'm almost there. Please don't be angry." The message felt off, and I couldn't shake the sense of unease. Dinner wrapped up without any sign of Jessica. Lily blew out her candles, surrounded by her friends and family, but there was a lingering sadness in her eyes. I reassured her that Mommy would explain everything and that we'd have a special celebration with just the three of us once Jessica arrived. We got home and I put Lily to bed, promising her that everything would be okay. My mind raced with scenarios, each more worrisome than the last. I wanted to believe that Jessica had a good reason for missing most of the evening, but deep down, I feared the worst. Just as I was about to call her again, I heard the front door open. Jessica walked in looking disheveled and avoiding my eyes. I stood in the living room waiting for an explanation. "Where have you been?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She hesitated, fumbling with her coat. I'm sorry, Dan. Things just got out of hand. I was running errands and there was so much traffic. I didn't mean to be late." "Running errands?" I repeated, skepticism creeping into my tone. "For 6 hours? You missed Lily's entire birthday dinner." She looked down, biting her lip. "I know, and I feel terrible about it. I'll make it up to her, I promise." Her excuses felt thin, and I couldn't shake the feeling that she was hiding something. "Jessica, this isn't like you. What's really going on?" She finally met my gaze, her eyes full of tears. "I don't know what you want me to say. I got caught up. I'm sorry." Frustrated and exhausted, I decided to let it go for the night. "We'll talk about this in the morning," I said, turning away. "But this isn't over." The next morning, Jessica seemed determined to make amends. She prepared a big breakfast, showering Lily with attention and gifts. But I could see the strain behind her smile, and it only deepened my suspicions. Over the next few days, I kept a closer eye on Jessica. She continued to work late, spending more time than ever at her studio. One evening, curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to check her computer. Jessica had always been open with her passwords, so it wasn't hard to access her emails and social media. What I found confirmed my worst fears. There were emails and messages from various men, some explicit, detailing meetups and conversations that had clearly gone beyond friendship. My heart pounded as I scrolled through the evidence, feeling a mix of anger, betrayal, and disbelief. One message stood out. It was from a man named Jake, and it was dated the same day as Lily's birthday dinner. "Had a great time last night," it read. "Looking forward to our next rendezvous. Maybe this time no interruptions?" I felt sick. The realization that Jessica had been with another man while I waited at the restaurant with our daughter was too much to bear. I confronted her that night, unable to contain my anger any longer. "Jessica, I know what you've been doing," I said, my voice trembling. "I found your messages, all of them. How could you do this to us?" Her face went pale and she seemed to shrink before my eyes. "Dan, Don't," I cut her off. "Don't try to deny it. You've been cheating on me, on our family. And you missed Lily's birthday dinner because you were with another man. How could you?" She collapsed into a chair, covering her face with her hands. "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I never meant for it to get this far. I was just so unhappy and lonely. I needed an escape." "An escape?" I repeated, incredulous. "From what, Jessica? From the life we built together? From Lily? How could you be so selfish?" Tears streamed down her face as she tried to explain. "It started with just chatting online. I didn't think it would go anywhere. But then I met Jake, and it felt good to be wanted again. I know it was wrong, but I didn't know how to stop." I stood there, feeling a mix of rage and sorrow. The woman I loved, the mother of my child, had betrayed us in the worst possible way. "You need to leave," I said finally, my voice cold and detached. "Pack your things and go. I can't even look at you right now." "Dan, please," she begged. "Let's talk about this. I can't leave Lily. She needs her mother." "Lily needs stability, and right now you're not providing that," I replied. "I need you out of this house. We'll figure out the details later, but for now, just go." Jessica packed a bag and left, tears still streaming down her face. I watched her go, feeling a strange sense of relief mixed with the overwhelming weight of betrayal. That night, I sat in Lily's room watching her sleep, and vowed to protect her from the fallout of Jessica's actions. Our lives had been turned upside down, but I was determined to be there for my daughter, no matter what. The house felt emptier without Jessica, even though I knew it was the right decision to ask her to leave. Lily was confused and heartbroken, sensing the tension, but not fully understanding the reasons behind it. I tried to maintain a sense of normalcy for her sake, but it was difficult. Every corner of the house reminded me of the life we had built together, now shattered by betrayal. The days following Jessica's departure were a blur of emotions. I oscillated between anger, sadness, and a strange numbness that settled over me like a heavy fog. I barely slept, my mind replaying the events over and over again. Lily, ever observant, asked about her mother constantly. "Daddy, where's Mommy? When is she coming back?" she asked one evening as we sat down for dinner. I took a deep breath, struggling to find the right words. "Mommy needed some time away, sweetheart, but she loves you very much, and we'll figure things out together." Lily nodded, her eyes filled with worry. "Will she come back soon?" "I don't know, Lily, but we're going to be okay, I promise." I reached out to Jessica's parents and explained the situation, carefully omitting the more painful details. They were shocked and disappointed, but agreed to support Lily and me during this difficult time. Jessica's mother offered to take Lily for a few weekends to give me some space to sort things out, which I gratefully accepted. As I tried to navigate life without Jessica, I decided it was time to seek legal advice. I contacted a lawyer who specialized in family law, and we discussed my options. The idea of divorce felt surreal, but I knew it was inevitable. Jessica's betrayal had destroyed any chance of reconciliation. The lawyer, a kind woman named Margaret, laid out the steps we needed to take. "First, we'll file for separation and then move towards divorce," she explained. "Given the circumstances, we can argue for full custody of Lily. It's clear that her stability and well-being are your top priority." Hearing those words brought a sense of relief but also a new wave of sadness. This wasn't how I had envisioned our lives turning out. But for Lily's sake, I had to be strong and move forward. I reached out to Jessica and told her about my decision to file for divorce. There was a long silence on the other end of the line before she finally spoke. "I understand," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'll cooperate with whatever you need. I just want to make sure Lily is okay." "She will be," I replied, trying to keep my emotions in check. "We'll figure out a visitation schedule that works for both of us. But for now, I need to focus on her and making sure she feels safe and loved." Over the next few weeks, we worked out the logistics. Jessica moved in with a friend and we agreed on a temporary visitation schedule. Lily spent weekends with her mother, which seemed to provide some comfort to her. Despite everything, I wanted Lily to have a relationship with Jessica, but it would be on terms that protected her from further emotional turmoil. One evening, while Lily was with her grandparents, I decided to confront the mess of emotions I had been avoiding. I poured myself a drink and sat on the porch, staring at the night sky. The weight of the betrayal, the pain of seeing my family torn apart, it all came crashing down. I allowed myself to cry, to feel the anger and sadness I had been bottling up. I thought back to our life before everything fell apart, the happiness and love we once shared. It felt like a lifetime ago. How had we gotten here? I couldn't help but wonder if there were signs I had missed, moments where I could have intervened and changed the course of our lives. But deep down, I knew that Jessica's choices were her own, and I couldn't carry the burden of her actions. In the midst of this turmoil, my friends and family became my support system. They rallied around Lily and me, offering help and words of encouragement. One friend, David, was particularly supportive. He had gone through a difficult divorce a few years earlier and knew exactly what I was facing. He became my sounding board, helping me navigate the emotional and legal complexities of the situation. "You're stronger than you think, Dan," he said one evening over a beer. "This is the hardest part, but you'll get through it. And Lily will be okay because she has you." His words gave me hope. I knew I had to focus on the future, for Lily's sake and for my own. I threw myself into work and found solace in the routine. My colleagues, aware of my situation, were supportive and understanding. I also started seeing a therapist to help process my emotions and find a way forward. Through therapy, I began to understand the depth of my pain and betrayal. I learned that it was okay to feel angry and hurt, and that healing would take time. My therapist encouraged me to focus on rebuilding my relationship with Lily and finding new ways to create happiness in our lives. One of the most challenging aspects was co-parenting with Jessica. Despite everything, she was still Lily's mother, and I wanted to ensure that Lily felt loved and supported by both of us. We established clear boundaries and communication guidelines, which helped reduce some of the tension. Lily, ever resilient, began to adjust to the new normal. We created new routines and traditions, finding joy in the little things. Movie nights, trips to the park, and weekend outings became our way of bonding and healing. Slowly, the house started to feel like home again, even without Jessica. As the weeks turned into months, I began to see a light at the end of the tunnel. The pain of betrayal still lingered, but it no longer consumed me. I found strength in my love for Lily and the support of those around me. One evening, Lily and I sat on the porch watching the sunset. She leaned against me, her small hand in mine. "I love you, Daddy," she said softly. "I love you too, Lily," I replied, feeling a sense of peace wash over me. "Everything is going to be okay." And in that moment, I believed it. We had been through hell, but we were coming out the other side, stronger and closer than ever. As the reality of our new life set in, I found myself grappling with an overwhelming mix of emotions. The anger I felt toward Jessica was almost tangible, a constant presence that gnawed at me day and night. But more than that, there was an aching sadness, a deep sense of loss for the life we once had and the family we had built together. The nights were the hardest. After Lily went to bed, the house was eerily quiet, and I was left alone with my thoughts. I replayed the moments of betrayal in my mind, each memory cutting deeper than the last. I had loved Jessica with everything I had, and her betrayal felt like a knife to the heart. One particularly restless night, I decided to go for a drive. The air was cool and crisp and the streets were empty. I drove aimlessly, trying to clear my mind. As I navigated the familiar roads of our neighborhood, memories of happier times flooded back. The park where we had picnics, the cafe where we had our first date, the art supply store where Jessica would spend hours selecting materials for her next project. Each place held a memory, a piece of the life we had shared. I ended up at the beach, a place we often visited as a family. The sound of the waves crashing against the shore was soothing, and I walked along the water's edge, letting the cool sand sink beneath my feet. I thought about the promises we had made to each other, the dreams we had for our future, and how it had all come crashing down. The pain was almost unbearable. In the midst of my grief, I realized that I had to let go of the anger and resentment if I was ever going to move forward. It wouldn't be easy, but holding on to the pain would only harm Lily and me. I had to focus on rebuilding our lives and finding a way to heal. I continued seeing my therapist, who helped me work through my emotions. She encouraged me to express my feelings through writing, a practice that proved to be cathartic. I filled pages with my thoughts and emotions, each word helping to release the burden I carried. It was a slow process, but it allowed me to confront the pain head-on and begin the journey toward healing. Lily, ever perceptive, noticed the changes in me. She was incredibly resilient, but I could see that she missed her mother. Despite everything, I wanted to ensure that Lily had a healthy relationship with Jessica. We arranged regular visits, and I made sure to be supportive, even though it was difficult. One weekend, while Lily was with Jessica, I decided to go through some of our old photos. I sat on the living room floor, surrounded by albums filled with memories. As I flipped through the pages, I saw the story of our lives unfold. Our wedding day, the birth of Lily, family vacations, and countless moments of joy. The photos told a tale of love and happiness, and I couldn't help but feel a pang of sorrow for what we had lost. But amidst the sadness, I also found moments of gratitude. We had shared many beautiful experiences, and those memories were a testament to the love we once had. I realized that while the pain of betrayal would always be a part of my story, it didn't have to define my future. One afternoon, as Lily and I were playing in the backyard, she looked up at me with a serious expression. "Daddy, do you still love Mommy?" The question caught me off guard. I knelt down to her level, taking her small hands in mine. "Lily, I will always care about your mother because she gave me the greatest gift in the world, you. But sometimes people make mistakes, and it changes things. What's important is that you know both Mommy and I love you very much." She seemed to ponder my words for a moment before nodding. "I love you, Daddy," she said, hugging me tightly. "I love you too, Lily," I replied, holding her close. In that moment, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. My priority was Lily and ensuring she felt loved and secure. As the weeks turned into months, I focused on creating a stable and loving environment for Lily. We established new routines and traditions, filling our days with activities that brought us joy. I enrolled her in a local art class where she could express her creativity and make new friends. Watching her thrive in this new setting was a source of immense pride and happiness for me. I also began to reconnect with old friends and build a support network. David, my friend who had gone through a similar experience, was a constant source of encouragement. He invited me to join a support group for single parents, which turned out to be incredibly helpful. Sharing my experiences with others who understood my struggles was comforting and provided a sense of community. One evening, after a particularly good day, I received a call from Jessica. Her voice was strained, and I could tell she had been crying. "Dan, can we talk?" I hesitated, unsure of what to expect. "Okay, Jessica, what is it?" "I just wanted to apologize for everything," she said, her voice trembling. "I know I hurt you and Lily deeply, and I regret my actions more than I can say. I'm trying to get my life back on track, and I hope we can find a way to co-parent effectively for Lily's sake." Her words were sincere, and despite my lingering anger, I felt a glimmer of hope that we could at least find a way to work together for Lily's benefit. "I appreciate that, Jessica. It's going to take time, but I'm willing to try for Lily." We talked for a while, discussing how we could improve our communication and support each other as parents. It was a difficult conversation, but it was a necessary step toward healing. As the months went by, we settled into a new routine. Lily continued to flourish, and our relationship grew stronger. The pain of betrayal still lingered, but it no longer defined my every waking moment. I found solace in the love and joy that Lily brought into my life, and I focused on building a future that was filled with hope and happiness. One evening, as Lily and I sat on the porch watching the sunset, she looked up at me with a smile. "Daddy, I'm happy," she said simply. I smiled back, my heart swelling with love. "Me too, Lily, me too." In that moment, I realized that while our lives had taken an unexpected turn, we were finding our way forward. We were creating new memories, building a new future, and most importantly, we were healing. The road ahead was still uncertain, but with Lily by my side, I knew we could face anything together. The divorce was finalized on a chilly autumn day, almost a year after Jessica had left. As I walked out of the courthouse, I felt a mix of relief and sorrow. It was the end of a chapter that had once been filled with love and dreams, but also the beginning of a new chapter that I was determined to fill with hope and stability for Lily and me. Lily had adjusted remarkably well to the changes. Her resilience amazed me every day. She excelled in school, made new friends, and continued to nurture her artistic talents. Her art classes became a sanctuary where she could express herself freely, and her artwork was a source of pride for both of us. Jessica and I maintained a civil relationship for Lily's sake. We communicated regularly about her schedule, her school activities, and her emotional well-being. It wasn't always easy, but we both knew it was necessary. I had to put aside my feelings of betrayal and focus on what was best for our daughter. One evening, after dropping Lily off at Jessica's for the weekend, I found myself reflecting on how much had changed in such a short time. The pain of Jessica's betrayal still lingered, but it no longer consumed me. I had learned to compartmentalize my emotions and focus on the positive aspects of my life. Work had become a welcome distraction. I threw myself into new projects, seeking out challenges that pushed me to grow both professionally and personally. My colleagues were supportive, and I even formed a few new friendships that extended beyond the office. These connections became an essential part of my healing process. I also continued to see my therapist, who helped me navigate the complex emotions that came with the end of my marriage. She encouraged me to focus on self-care and to find activities that brought me joy. I started running again, something I had given up years ago. The rhythmic pounding of my feet against the pavement became a form of meditation, a way to clear my mind and release the pent-up stress. One Saturday morning, as I was running through the park, I spotted a familiar face. It was Emma, an old friend from college whom I hadn't seen in years. We had been close during our university days but had lost touch after graduation. She was sitting on a bench reading a book. "Emma?" I called out, slowing to a stop. She looked up, her eyes widening in surprise. "Daniel, is that you?" We spent the next few minutes catching up, sharing snippets of our lives since college. Emma had recently moved back to Seattle after spending several years abroad working as a freelance journalist. She seemed genuinely happy to see me, and we quickly fell back into the easy camaraderie we had shared in our youth. "How about we grab a coffee?" she suggested. "I'd love to catch up properly." Over coffee, we talked about our careers, our travels, and the twists and turns our lives had taken. Emma was as vibrant and engaging as I remembered, and I found myself opening up to her about my recent struggles. She listened with empathy, offering words of encouragement and support. "It sounds like you've been through a lot," she said gently. "But it also sounds like you're doing everything you can to create a good life for Lily. That's what matters most." Her words resonated with me, and I felt a sense of validation that I hadn't realized I needed. We exchanged phone numbers and made plans to meet up again. Reconnecting with Emma felt like a breath of fresh air, a reminder that life still held opportunities for new beginnings and meaningful connections. As the weeks went by, Emma and I grew closer. We met up regularly, exploring the city, trying out new restaurants, and even attending a few art exhibits. She became a trusted confidant, someone I could talk to about anything and everything. Our friendship provided a sense of stability and joy that had been missing from my life. One evening, as we walked along the waterfront, Emma turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Daniel, have you ever considered writing about your experiences? You have a powerful story, and it might help others who are going through similar struggles." I hadn't given it much thought, but the idea intrigued me. Writing had always been a way for me to process my emotions, and sharing my story could be a way to turn my pain into something positive. "I'll think about it," I said, smiling. "Thanks, Emma." Encouraged by her suggestion, I began to write about my journey. The words flowed easily, and I found the process therapeutic. I wrote about the highs and lows, the moments of despair and the glimmers of hope. I wrote about Lily and how her resilience had inspired me to keep going. And I wrote about the importance of friendship and support in the healing process. To my surprise, the more I wrote, the more I realized how far I had come. The act of putting my thoughts and emotions into words helped me gain perspective and see the progress I had made. It also made me appreciate the strength and resilience that both Lily and I possessed. One day, as I was working on my manuscript, I received a call from Jessica. Her voice was hesitant, and I could tell she was struggling to find the right words. "Dan, I wanted to talk to you about something," she began. "I've been seeing a therapist and it's really helped me understand the mistakes I made. I want to apologize again for everything I put you and Lily through. I'm committed to being a better mother and co-parent." Her words took me by surprise. It was the first time she had acknowledged the impact of her actions so openly. "Thank you, Jessica. I appreciate that," I replied, feeling a sense of closure. "We're all trying to move forward, and it's important for Lily to see us working together." Our conversation marked a turning point. While the pain of betrayal would never fully disappear, I could see that Jessica was making an effort to rebuild her relationship with Lily and to co-parent more effectively. It was a small step, but it was a step in the right direction. As the months turned into a year, our lives continued to evolve. Lily was thriving, and our bond grew stronger every day. Emma remained a constant source of support and joy, and our friendship deepened into something more. She became an integral part of our lives, and her presence brought a sense of warmth and happiness that I hadn't felt in a long time. One evening, as Emma and I sat on the porch watching the sunset, she turned to me with a smile. "You know, Daniel, life has a funny way of surprising us. A year ago, you were in such a dark place, and now look at you. You've come so far." I looked at her, feeling a sense of gratitude and contentment. "I couldn't have done it without you, Emma. Thank you for being there for me." She reached out and took my hand, her touch comforting and reassuring. "Always, Daniel, always." In that moment, I realized that while the journey had been incredibly difficult, it had also brought unexpected blessings. I had found strength and resilience within myself, and I had built a new life filled with love and hope. The road ahead was still uncertain, but with Lily and Emma by my side, I knew we could face anything together. As time went on, the wounds of the past began to heal. Lily continued to flourish, her laughter filling our home with joy. She excelled in her studies and developed a deep passion for art, just like her mother. Watching her grow and thrive was a constant reminder of the importance of resilience and love. Jessica and I maintained a respectful co-parenting relationship. We communicated regularly about Lily's needs and worked together to ensure her happiness and well-being. While the pain of betrayal still lingered, I had learned to compartmentalize those emotions and focus on the positive aspects of our new lives. Emma became an increasingly important part of our lives. Our friendship had blossomed into a deep and meaningful relationship, built on trust, respect, and mutual support. She was not only a loving partner, but also a wonderful role model for Lily. The bond they shared brought immense joy to my heart. One weekend, we decided to take a trip to the mountains. It was a chance to escape the routine of daily life and spend quality time together. We rented a cozy cabin and spent our days hiking, exploring, and simply enjoying each other's company. On the second evening, after a long day of hiking, we sat around a campfire, roasting marshmallows and sharing stories. The night sky was clear and the stars twinkled brightly above us. Lily sat between Emma and me, her eyes wide with wonder as she listened to our tales. "Daddy, can we come here every year?" Lily asked, her face glowing in the firelight. "Of course, sweetheart," I replied, smiling. "This can be our special place." Emma leaned in, her eyes sparkling with warmth. "I think that's a wonderful idea, Lily. We'll make it a tradition." As we sat there, I felt a deep sense of peace and contentment. The journey had been difficult, but it had led us to this moment of happiness and togetherness. I realized that while the past had shaped us, it did not define us. We had the power to create a future filled with love and joy. Back at home, life continued to unfold in beautiful ways. Emma and I grew closer, our relationship deepening with each passing day. She brought a sense of stability and warmth to our lives, and her presence was a constant source of comfort and happiness. One evening, as we were preparing dinner, Emma turned to me with a thoughtful expression. "Daniel, there's something I've been wanting to talk to you about." I set down the knife I was using to chop vegetables and gave her my full attention. "What is it, Emma?" She took a deep breath, her eyes meeting mine. "I've been offered a job opportunity. It's a position with a major publishing company, and it would involve some travel, but it's an incredible opportunity for my career." I felt a mix of emotions, happiness for her success, but also a pang of concern about the potential changes it could bring. "That's amazing, Emma. I'm so proud of you. What do you need from me?" She smiled, her eyes filled with gratitude. "I need your support, Daniel. It's going to be a big change, but I believe we can make it work. We're a team, and I know we can handle anything together." Her words filled me with confidence. "Of course, Emma. We'll make it work. I'm here for you no matter what." As Emma embarked on her new career journey, we navigated the changes together. There were challenges, but we faced them head-on, drawing strength from our love and commitment to each other. Our relationship continued to grow, and I found myself more grateful than ever for the support and love we shared. Lily adapted well to the changes, her resilience shining through once again. She thrived in her art classes and continued to excel in school. Watching her blossom into a confident and talented young girl was the greatest joy of my life. One evening, as we sat around the dinner table, Lily looked up at me with a serious expression. "Daddy, do you think we could have a family art show? I want to show everyone my paintings, and maybe Mommy and Emma could show theirs too." Her idea was brilliant, and I felt a surge of pride. "That's a wonderful idea, Lily. We'll make it happen." The following months were filled with preparations for the art show. Jessica was enthusiastic about the idea, and it became a collaborative effort that brought us all closer together. The show was a huge success, with friends and family coming together to celebrate Lily's talent and the beautiful artwork on display. As I stood in the gallery, surrounded by the people I loved, I realized how far we had come. The pain of the past had been transformed into a tapestry of love, resilience, and new beginnings. Our lives were not perfect, but they were filled with hope and happiness. One evening, as Emma and I sat on the porch watching the sunset, she turned to me with a smile. "Daniel, do you ever think about the future?" I looked at her, feeling a deep sense of contentment. "All the time, Emma, and I'm excited for it. With you and Lily by my side, I know we can face anything." She took my hand, her touch warm and reassuring. "I love you, Daniel. I love you too, Emma." In that moment, I knew that while the journey had been challenging, it had also been incredibly rewarding. We had built a life filled with love and hope, and I was grateful for every moment of it. The road ahead was still uncertain, but with Emma and Lily by my side, I knew we could face anything together. As the years went by, our lives continued to flourish. Lily grew into a remarkable young woman, her talent for art shining brightly. She won numerous awards and was accepted into a prestigious art school. Watching her pursue her dreams was a source of immense pride and joy. Emma's career thrived, and she continued to be a loving and supportive partner. We traveled together, explored new places, and created countless memories. Our bond grew stronger with each passing day, and I felt incredibly fortunate to have her in my life. Jessica and I maintained a positive co-parenting relationship. While the pain of betrayal had faded, it had been replaced by a mutual respect and commitment to Lily's well-being. We worked together to support her and celebrated her achievements as a united front. One summer, we decided to take a family trip to the Grand Canyon, a place that held special memories for me. It was a chance to revisit the past while creating new memories with Emma and Lily. The trip was filled with laughter, adventure, and breathtaking views. As we stood at the edge of the canyon, looking out at the vast expanse before us, I felt a sense of awe and gratitude. Life had come full circle, and we were stronger and happier than ever. On the last evening of our trip, we sat around a campfire, sharing stories and reflecting on our journey. The stars above us twinkled brightly, and the air was filled with a sense of peace and contentment. "Daddy, do you remember our first trip here?" Lily asked, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. "Of course I do," I replied, smiling. "It was one of the happiest times of my life." "And this trip?" she asked, looking between Emma and me. "This trip has been just as special," I said, feeling a surge of love and gratitude. "It's a reminder of how far we've come and how much we have to be thankful for." Emma reached out and took my hand, her touch warm and comforting. "We've built a beautiful life together, Daniel, and there's so much more to look forward to." I looked around at the faces of the people I loved, feeling a deep sense of contentment. The journey had been filled with challenges, but it had also been incredibly rewarding. We had faced adversity, but we had come out the other side stronger and closer than ever. As the fire crackled and the stars shone above us, I knew that we were exactly where we were meant to be. The past had shaped us, but it did not define us. We had the power to create a future filled with love, joy, and endless possibilities. In that moment, surrounded by the people I loved, I felt a profound sense of peace. The road ahead was still uncertain, but with Emma and Lily by my side, I knew we could face anything together. And as the first light of dawn began to break on the horizon, I looked forward to the new adventures and memories that awaited us.
Subscribe to the channel and share your impressions in the comments.